This is the first video that I'll be doing in a series of videos that will show you stoichiometry going from moles to moles, like the first question that you see on the board right now, and then stoichiometry going from moles to grams, so we call that mole-gram stoichiometry. And in this series, I will show you some examples, and I will also show you some actual homework problems. So here's the first example that I'm going to show you, which is moles to moles. And you'll see above, right up here, is the overview of what we're going to be doing in this problem. So to make this kind of problem work, we have to first always balance our equation. And let's look at sodium first to do the balancing. Sodium is over here on the left side, and the numbers of sodiums and the number of sodiums on the other side are both the same. So we have sodiums here, same as sodiums here. However, when we look at hydrogen, which is right here, we want to see how many hydrogens we have on the left side, and then on the right, well, we got hydrogens in two different places, don't we? Here and here. Now, the first one is the troublesome one because that is an odd number of hydrogens, because sodium hydroxide has no coefficient. Well, we can change that by putting a 2 out here, and now we have an even number of hydrogens in that molecule because of the coefficient. But once we do that, because we have hydrogens over here as well, we've got to count both of them together, and we have a total of 4. So to get 4 hydrogens on this side of the equation, we have to put a 2 here as a coefficient in front of the water. And now let's look and see if anything got messed up by balancing the hydrogens. And yes, indeed, the sodiums got messed up. You can see the sodium here is now 2, and we only have 1 sodium here. So let's fix that with a coefficient of 2. And now, if you notice, we have 2 sodiums on the left, 2 sodiums on the right. On the left, we have 4 hydrogens, and we have 4 hydrogens because we have 2 here on the right and 2 here on the right for a total of 4. And the oxygens, let's look at those. We have 2 at this position because of the coefficient, and we also have 2 at this position because of the coefficient here. So everything is in balance, and we are ready to go ahead and start doing some stoichiometry because we have relationships now established among all of the reactants and products. So we have an equal number of each on both sides. So let's get started. Always we're going to start our calculations with given 3.42, and you see that came from up here, 3.42 moles of sodium over, you guessed it, 1. So that's our first fraction. Now we have to get the relationship of this to this. Okay, moles of sodium to moles of water. And now when we make our second equation, or our second fraction, I should say, whatever's on the top here has to be on the bottom over here. So let's look and see what's on the top on the left-hand fraction, and that's moles of sodium. So we have to have moles of sodium down here. And what we're trying to take it to is moles of water. So up here, we're going to write moles of H2O. Now when I look at that, I also have to put the numbers. So we go to the coefficient of water, which is right here, and we put that number here, and then we go to the coefficient of sodium, which is right here, and we put its coefficient here. And so now we have the ratio of water to sodium, and we are ready to go in our last part, which is simply doing the calculation. So if we find out what that's going to be equal to, that's 3.42. Why? Because the coefficients at this position are going to cross each other out because they're the same number. So it's like multiplying that thing by 1. And here we're going to also cancel out our units of measure to have 1 unit of measure left, and that's moles, and that's moles of water now instead of moles of sodium, which we started out with. And there we have our final answer. Now in this problem, what did we do? We went, if you look here, let's get this other stray marks out of the way, and let's go back down here to the bottom, and you see what we started out with at the very top, which was the same thing. And so we have moles of sodium giving us moles of water. And that's our first example. Don't forget to stay tuned in and see our second example.